Why do you think we conduct elections, and why is it that we have a change of leaders after every 5 years?
So as to choose the leaders that will represent us in the government, so as to give the citizens a say in the government, and also to participate in our democratic rights.
Identify the loopholes in the IBC electoral process and the voting process.
Okay, in the IBC, we have loopholes like influence from political leaders. You find that there are leaders who influence the IBC to do some work that is biased according to them. And then there is delay of election materials. You find that the day for the election, there is a delay, unapata vitu zinafika late. Then transparency, you find that there is a bit of some things are hidden, and you find that there is no transparency. Then when you go to the electoral process, there is delay in the transmission of results. You find that it takes a long time to get the results, yet the election process has already ended. Then there is inconsistent enforcement of laws. You find that this time we have this law, then the next time we have another law. So there is some inconsistency. Then we have electoral violence. You find that lately, when we looked at the previous election, we saw that there was some violence in Bomas of Kenya, right? So the loophole is electoral violence. Then when you go to voters registration, you find that there is technical failures in biometric systems. You find that one is registering the voters, but there are some issues with the system and they need to be serviced. Then we have inaccurate voters' rolls. You find that, yes, these are the voters that are supposed to be in this county or in this constituency, but the number of registered voters are few. Then we have low voters turnout. You find that others, they be like for us who are in the bracket of 18 to 35, we find it hard to go to vote. And since we don't go, there is a low turnout of voters. Then we have inadequate of accurate registration. You find that the registration is not done accurately.
What do you think are the ways to get involved in the electoral process?
I think one can be involved in the electoral process first by registering as a voter, because a voter is the most primary sector of the whole electoral process per se, and you can register as a voter by going to any Huduma center. There is the IEBC desk there where you can register as a voter and turning out during election day to cast your vote. Someone can also be involved in the electoral process by joining civic organizations or political parties, where you can now advocate for your ideologies, which can be implemented through the political parties or civic organizations that you're engaged in. Another way can be through educating yourselves and the people around you. We have access to a lot of information on the internet and through social media platforms. You can always educate yourself on the electoral process and the needs that be while choosing your leaders. And then also working as a poll worker, you can get to work as a presiding officer, as a deputy presiding officer, as a clerk during the electoral process. And the last way which I think someone can be involved in the electoral process is by running for office. You can run for office if you meet the criteria for a specific political position, then one can freely run for office during an electoral process. Thank you.
What is your role as a youth in the electoral process, and what do you think you can do to better the voting process? And lastly, do you think that every elections are fair?
Okay, the youth, those people between the ages of 18 to 35, do play a critical role in the election process. First and foremost, a role that they do play is voter participation. This is done by them actively voting on the days of election. And prior to this, they need also to register as voters before the election day. Secondly, they also run for their offices. They can do this while challenging the status quo. So, and thirdly, they can lobby for seats in the respective political parties that they are members of. The ways to improve various election processes include that, one, there needs to be eradication of voter suppression. This can be done during the election day or prior the election day. Another thing is that we can also have an automatic system where if you turn the age of 18, you are automatically entitled to be a voter. And on my opinion on various election, I think each and every election is unique compared to the last one or other previous election, and they also do have their own challenges. But there are instances that have occurred simultaneously in various elections, including bribery, voter manipulation. So I really can't say that 100% that the elections have always been free and fair. Yeah.
So guys, thank you for taking part in this. This has been our insightful, broad-based discussion on the electoral process, disadvantages, our role as youths in the electoral process. So my last parting shot will be this. Do you really think elections are fair? If not, can we do away with them? And if yes, what can we do to improve our next electoral process? Thank you.